G'day, welcome to part 38 on the XT restoration. We're pumping a few of them out now, aren't we? So, in this one, the first thing I wanted to do was thank, let's have a drink of water. Thank Grant Wickham. He is a subscriber from Queensland, I believe, and he's donated a couple of parts, and I wanted to mention it. That is the door top moulding for the right hand rear door. So now I've got the right hand rear one, and I've got the left hand front. I just need two other ones. And of course the boot moulding. But also these little guys here, these go around the taillight, and they sort of click together like that, and go around each taillight on each side, and I can polish them up or do what I need to do with them, so it's goodness those. But he's also given us, I'm not really prepared, am I? This lens. Came in a cartridge box, and he's also packaged it. Look at this. Just the packaging would have taken him a while. So I'll just put that there. And this is the part I need to finish the taillights. This is the left-hand taillight lens, which is a Minter. So thank you so much, Grant, because that's a big deal. These parts, and this is what helps. I bought this car as a shell, and so I had some of the other stuff here. I had an engine, and I built that out of bits too, because I just bought, when I bought that, it was just a block. And I had a couple of other bits, but I built it all out of spare parts. So there's probably 50 different Falcons and Fairlanes in this car. That's quite a lot. And it all comes very expensive to do. Now that lens, to buy that on eBay is going to be $70. You know what I mean? And then another $10 to post it out. He wouldn't even accept payment for the postage. So Grant, if you see this, thank you so very much, because it's people like you that make this kind of thing possible. Now, I've been rude in terms of, I'm going to put this back in here, in terms of the way I close every video. I've got a lot of people support me in Patreon, and I always put their names on the closing titles, but I haven't actually included in that list the names of the people who have donated parts, which is every bit just as important. Grant's donation is worth a lot of money, you know, just in these trims. If you think about, I'm always warning people about what to spend, well, to be careful not to spend too much online. It's so easy to make a car like this. I think I mentioned in the other video, into a $50,000 project. Just ridiculous. So it's a lot of people, and I'm going to put these names on the end credits. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, because I don't want them in front of the patron and I don't want them behind the patron. They're kind of in there, but there's been substantial stuff donated. Of course, the Raymakers brothers, Michael and David, and Alex from Several Auto Electrics, who give me a lot of advice and also helped a lot. Dave helped me with the cars. My MG's still down there, and Michael's allowing that. Car storage is massively expensive, but it does have to come back here sooner than later. Every time I see it there, I feel bad about it. The Paul Harker, I mentioned him. He was the manual pedal box, the power steering bracket, and the door hinges. And I've used all that stuff. The only part I hadn't used that Paul sent out was the upper driver's door hinge. The High Series interior light, the Fairlane interior light with the lens. Now I can't remember the man who donated that. He came around and he must have been here for about an hour or so, 3/4 of an hour or so. We were talking, great guy. I cannot remember his name. And so if you see this, can you please drop me a line so that I can include you, because that was, I wanted that matte light type light. I've got one in the XD as well. I love them. I don't like the standard fitting. So I don't know his name and I want to add him. Headlights, buckets and spare lenses, headlamp brackets, spare lenses and so forth. Andy, whose surname I don't know, his SSV Pom from the Ford forums. He's a great guy, and you know, I've gone and helped him with his car. He's always available. He's a sensational bloke, and again, headlights and that sort of thing is so stupid expensive for these cars. I do need to get the buckets, I think. I don't know how they're secured. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. The parcel tray, if you remember we cut all that out, the parcel tray frame, the firewall section, the engine cross member, the caster rod housing, I think, shock tower, battery bracket, and all the trimming from Jason Hill. And I can't, Jason got a bad rap from one viewer when he pulled the engine out of his Fairlane. He did it with a bulldozer, This is a guy that can do a filling in your mouth with the bulldozer. His dexterity with him is incredible. Anyway, he's pulled the engine out and it's swaying around like a toy. I thought it was amusing. Somebody wrote a comment to me saying, look, no, that's not for me. But at the end of the day, when you pull engines out, you can be a little bit untidy with them. The car's going to be fully restored, and of course then it's going to be put in nice and gently. Jason's work's amazing. You've got to have a look. If you haven't subscribed to that channel, make sure you do it and have a look. In his latest video, he welds up and everything, the radiator support panel, but not just that, his trimming work. He does a bit of upholstery, and he gets a piece of macro suede to fit around the dog leg moulding, and that is a very, very, it looks like a simple thing, but it's an extremely hard thing to do. So make sure you pay him a visit. Jason trimmed I put the trim on the XW, and he redid it all because I couldn't do it. And he also rebuilt all the seats in the XW. He did the headlining in the XW, and he's done all the trim in the XC, right, for pretty much next. So he's a fantastic friend, and I always feel indebted. I've done some work for him, and I've got to do some on the Fairmont as well. What do we got? The Taillight lens surrounds, that was all from Grant, and also the camber pins from Warwick Tetlow as well. He gave me some new camber pins for the thing as well. If there's anyone I've forgotten about, please tell me. I've got a feeling I've forgotten a couple of people, but please drop me a line, tell me what you've done, and I'm pleased to make mention of it and so forth, and add you. Now in this one, I don't even know what we're going to do, because here's the fuel tank. Look, ta-da! That's all ready to go back in. It's a little bit soft. It's clear coated and so on and so forth. It looks really, really nice. I've got to put the sender unit in it, then we can stick that in the car. I haven't done any work on this, on the car today. It was raining. So we'll put the fuel tank in, we'll put the fuel tank sender in, we'll lay out the fuel lines. I want to get this car started sooner than later. What else? Nothing yet. I'm sure there's a lot more in this video aside from the fuel tank, but of course I haven't started filming it. So anyway, look, I hope you enjoy. With masking up, try and make it look good. I always leave a fold over edge so I can just unravel it. There's one here, and also around there. This is the evaporative emissions. It's a gasket for it. You don't have to listen to anything I say. You can just say, "Shut up, Anderson. What would you know?" That sounds like Adrian Shern. He used to say things like that to me when I was a kid. He's a really good friend of mine. I'm just going to draw around it and get the blade to cut it out. But I want it to look good. It's a fuel tank. You don't see most of this. It'll be under a mat, and you don't see underneath that. Give the tank a wash down. Our phosphoric acid's all ready now to be overcoated. So we'll start by edge priming it and give it a lovely paint job. Right, well I've got the tank and etch at the bottom, and I've primed the top of it. I'll just flip it around when it's dried a bit more and prime the bottom of it. Then of course I can put some colour on. It'll have a bit of clear on, it won't be that shiny because I'm not going to buff it or anything, but I just want it protected. Well, we'll just let it go off. Still tacky. I haven't done the silver on the bottom yet because it was easy just letting the primer sort of sit there against the carpet. This takes longer to dry. So the other thing is when I flip it up the other way, I can do the silver and the clear and it won't affect any of this because it's sort of right up to there, if you know what I mean. But pretty happy with it. Looks fairly good. Right, well, I think it might be time to put the tank in. I painted this earlier today. It feels dry enough. If it's not, I'm about to make a mess of it. So I'm going to plonk that around because I've got to put the centre in first. Slide along. And we've got to work over here now. Right, so this is what we've got. It would have been easier putting the centre in from the other side, but I didn't want to flick the tank over and have this thing, can we move there, have this thing here flapping around. So I wanted to put it in the way that it was going to be in the car. So we'll get a new cylinder out. Maybe you can see it, I might just move the camera. Alright, there it is there, rather spiffy. Oh, that wasn't very clever. And in the box is a retaining ring and a gasket, and that gasket worries me a little bit. I hope it's alright. I thought they were more in a round thing. So I'm just going to pop that off. Rightio. So this is what we've got. We have new sender. It's here. There's our float. It is going to fit, and I can feel the rheostat working there. That's cool. That was the problem with the old one. It feels and looks knackered in comparison. A different type of rheostat. The reach is around about the same. It looks pretty good. No complaints there. It is flat on the base here. So to make sure that is absolutely squeaky clean. Hang on a sec. Let's turn around now to look at this thing. And we have to put it in. This ain't going to be fun. How the hell am I going to get that in? Hang on a minute. No. How the hell do I get that in? That's not fun. How the heck does that go in? Maybe this way? Up into there. No. With pliers a little bit. You've got to get it over there and in, and then release it. Alright, hopefully I just stuffed it up. And then this little guy goes in. What a bastard to get in. Rightio, so I've just got a tiny little suggestion of rubber grease on there. I don't want it to spread out, but I do want it to seat properly. So just a tiny bit there, less is more. And I'm just gonna plug it in. I thought for a minute it wasn't gonna fit, but then I realised I had it the wrong way around. There are two locating pins on these. I'll show you in a second. That's got to go under the gasket, clever dick. Hang on, where are we? Right, so I can't rotate it, sort of sits like that. There's these two tangs sort of on the back here, which sit into the two cuts behind there. Now, from there we need to stick this guy on here. Now, a word of warning, if you buy a new fuel tank for an XY or XW, these rings aren't locked in properly to the point where they're over this sort of threshold, if you like. It's got to lock in past that threshold between there and the stop. So we have to stick it on. Let me get a screwdriver and just make sure that's all central. There's ample room there for it. I think it's going to be fine. But this will taper itself on like that. And so sticking them on can be quite a difficult thing. Let me just get the, or at least easy to stuff up, put it that way. So, in saying that, we get our screw stick. I'm just going to give it a tap here. If I miss and scratch up the tank, it doesn't matter. And we're starting to go on. We have to make sure they're all good. See, we're half on there. And we're just going to go around, we've got to let it rotate. Now that's out at the top. That doesn't look good. I think it's out. I don't know, I can't even see it. So I'm going to go here now. screwed. There we go. I just want to get a torch and just make sure that thing is in. That's my daughter and my wife. Right, so I've redone this. You can see I put a little scratch there, but I don't care about that. Well, the first time I put this on, I couldn't physically sight the seal there, so it was off center. I think it is still sealed, but it's the one thing that you don't want to have to do in the car, because this faces the front of the car, and you've sort of got the rear axle just in front of it as a pig to get to, as well as having to sort of... The best way to do it is have the front jacked up, if you know what I mean, so the fuel rushes down to the back of the tank. It's a pig of a job. I've done it once and I didn't enjoy it. So I've got the seal nice and central, the center's in, and we're ready to put the tank in the car. Rightio, so I've got a diabolically dusty and dirty Ford. I'm just going to go around and clean off all the debris. I'm going to sort of think ahead with this. The fuel tank wire might get in the way, so it might be sort of beneficial to tie that up. I'll take a risk. I might be able to poke it through later. But the other thing I've got to find, and I don't remember what I've done with them, are the bolts. I think I know where they are. I'm just going to have a look and see if I can find those. These XCs make me nervous because they're half metric, half imperial. And I was nervous because I hadn't thought until now. I've got all these fuel tank bolts and they're all 1/4 inch cores. Fortunately, I bought a new 1/4 inch course tab because I broke the old one. But yeah, that's what they are. Sometimes there's 6mm metric stuff in these. You just need to check these sorts of things, because otherwise you can get really caught with your pants down. If you go to put something in and you're all tooled up and you've got all your sealer down, and then the bloody thing won't fit. So I'll just go around and do all these. A few things going on here. I've got this Mastic Sealer, and we don't want to use anything that resembles adhesive, because if this thing needs to come out and use urethane or anything, it will never ever come out again. So this is Mastic Sealer, and it'll give the tank a nice bed to sit on and seal up any moisture coming from the road. And then you've got a piece of board down there. I'll stick a bit of fabric on it, just stick the tank on the board and lower it down. Beneath that board is a trolley jack, just so I don't want it to sort of crash into position, if you know what I mean. The fuel tank's not heavy, it's just awkward. Right, so I've just got moved off to the side. So that's just sort of sitting there balanced on the top of the jack. Might just bring it up a bit more, eh? A couple of hazards with working by yourself. Freaking worrying. There's always something you forget, you know what I mean? And you think, my goodness, I'm an idiot. There's the fuel tank sender thing. So that's sort of sitting up there on the piece of wood. I can probably go forward a little bit, bring him down a little bit, but I just don't want to scratch the finish on it, because I did get it looking quite nice. Here we go, coming in for landing. I'm just going to leave it, give it a little bit of squiggling around room. Get some of these bolts started. So just sort of yanking it over where we can, and just starting a couple of bolts. And once that's the case, and they're sort of started because they're very free threading, if you know what I mean, well then I'll just drop the tank, let it sit on its bed of mastic, and it should be right as rain. I'm missing over there a nut, but I don't mind that. Just go around and start tightening them up. Right, so I've got the tank in, all bolted up nicely. One captive nut on the back of here is missing, so I'll just have to put a 1/4 inch coarse washer there, or a nut with a washer and a lock washer. But otherwise, it is all looking really, really good. That'll all harden off, and we'll get the spare wheel powder coated and the cover for it, and then we can put that on. That sort of fills it up, in a couple of grommets for the shocker covers over there, and I reckon we're good. I suppose the next thing after this is to put the fuel lines in, or finish putting them in. I started doing that last year. And also, while we're at it, we can check the depth of the filler spout, because the one that's rusty inside, the original XC1, I might have to get plated, because that will kill all the rust on the inside and replate it, whereas I can't just paint the outside. You can't put it on like that. The other one's fair lane, so I don't think it's going to fit. But no, baby steps, but they're going quite well. So we're going to be doing two things at the same time here. Here's the rear door for the ZH Fairlane, and it all looks alright, except a little bit of that gunk on the back. We're going to clean all that off, and also it's got frame damage on it. In saying that, the skin doesn't look too bad, and it's all magnetic, so I don't think there's much filler in it. This was the old one we had, which had a mint frame but a terrible skin. Now, the best thing to do with this, there's a bit of rust down the bottom there I can see, is to take the skin off and stick it on that frame. But I think it's better to just make patches for this one out of the old one, which is a bit of a shame, but I think it's probably the most time efficient way of doing it. So we've got to get this up on a trestle and strip it and start cleaning some of that black stuff off and hit it with paint stripper. Now, I'm not going to show too much of this because I've already shown lots of fabrication stuff on doors, but I'm just sort of showing you so you know what's going on. At the same time, look at my workbench, seriously. At the same time, we've got these two fillers. Now, this was the one I started cleaning off the Fairlane, but I don't think it's going to fit, so we're going to be using that. This is a Falcon one, and it's got a larger flange at the top, but it's all rusty inside, so that's going to have to be, what do you call it? Replated, re-zinced. So one item or 20 items is like 60 bucks at this joint, so I'm going to take that, and also going to take those wiper arms as well. Now, that's probably a bit pedantic. On the XW, I think I painted those. I can't remember. But when I look at a restored car, I always look in the scuttle. And that's how you tell if it's a good job or not. If it's all clean in there with nice new plated arms and all painted, that's one of the first things I look at. And there's a guy at a GT shop not far from here that had a no expense spared phase 1 restoration. It wasn't a phase 1, it was a Falcon 500. And yeah, there was a different colour in the scuttle. So that's how I sort of judge it. But anyway, so I've got to do that. And because I'm out on the drive, I've got to be in the backyard for this one. A couple of dents, very, very small ones in the scuttle. That's off Jason's car, the XB, that's absolutely knackered, but it's a very, very healthy scuttle. So that's going on. And we've got our bonnet. And we had our little pimple there, so I've just knocked it in a bit and just run a bit of filler. You're probably sick of seeing doors, right? But I'm going to put gloves on for this because my skin is all knackered, it's all cracked. And the problem with this stuff is if you get it in there, you can't get it out. And I'm back at work next week. And if I don't walk in clean, the kids are all going to go, look, Mr. Anderson, what's wrong with your hands? Look at that, great gloves. These are from Coles. And it's just a mess. So I just thought I'd show you. You can see the rust there, and the rust here. And it remains to be seen how serious it is. I mean, if I had to ditch this, I'll ditch it, you know what I mean? But this is, oh, it's just the worst stuff. I might get some newspaper actually. I want to get the bulk of it off. God, this is going to be murder to get that off. I'm going to go get some newspaper. Hang on a minute. I reckon the best way of getting this off would be to freeze it off like the plumbers used to when they changed your valve at the front. They'd dig a little hole and they'd fill it with gas. That's illegal now, I think. Or burn it off. And I've got a torch, but I haven't got a cylinder. So, I'm just going to do it the manual way. Dig it out. Wipe it on newspaper. Come back with some Prepsol or whatever. And just try and get it out that way. But it's really, really bad. And it's been put on so thickly. I've never seen it applied this badly. Look at it. Look at that. Gosh. That is... It's the worst application of this door crap I've ever seen. Now, if you use Mastic, if you make your own gaskets and use Mastic Sealer, it hardens off but stays soft, if you know what I mean. So you can just literally run around it like that and it all comes out. It's really, really good stuff, and it's cheap too. I get all mine from Bunnings. It's like $5 for a cartridge, and that lasts the whole car, you know. But this is just I don't know who the jackass was that did this, but it's terrible. I mean, it really is the pits. Look at this bit. There's a song, Live and Let Die. Kids been listening to heaps of Guns N' Roses. And it's, what does it matter to you when you've got a job to do, you've got to do it well. Well, this guy ever heard that song or the lyric. I mean, this is a pain because also there's bolts behind here. And it just makes a mess of all your sockets and your tools and everything. It really would have been better just burning it off. But I don't want to cause too much trouble with the environment. I actually took the electric windows out of this car and I was covered in the stuff just getting the regs out of it. Right, so I'm going to quit for now. I'm off to Milson's Auto Paint for an airbrushing demo. We can see here we've got a couple of small dents repaired there, just blowing some edge. I don't go heavy with the edge on the primer, on the filler, just because it can make the edges lift a tiny bit if you're not careful. Here's our bonnet, and there's a couple of things. I got this line wrong. You can see I haven't gone heavy there. You can see the filler there, it's just a skim. But I need to adjust that line. There's a little pock mark there, which is no good. And the other thing I've seen, if we look along it, there is, must be on the other side. Here, there's a little lump there. There's a little lump there. I just need to hammer and dolly that down and put a tiny skim of filler there. And you can see it's a little bit stripy because I've gone pretty thin with the edge primer. But at least now, it's looking really, really good. I'm so happy with that bonnet. Right, well, as you can see, we have stripped the Fairlane door. Haven't finished stripping in that area there, but that's pretty easy, just wire wheel that. But you can see, looking at this, the skin is absolutely gorgeous, as straight as an arrow. It was actually covered in black paint underneath. You can see the bits of it there underneath the colour. So it was either a replacement skin or a replacement door at some point. Now, we have one rust issue. I'm caught, hang on. At the bottom, we're probably a little bit thin there. I don't know what that is. But of course in this corner here. Obvious thing would be to take this skin off and stick it on the other door frame, but I don't know that I want to do that, given that removing this might buckle it. Now, if I flick him over, this is where stuff gets ugly. Now I've cleaned all this off. All that horrible black filler, there would have been at least a cup all over the place, even under where the door mechanism is, all under here, it was everywhere. And I've just used an old rag that I used to wipe off the bonnet, cut it into small bits, used about 8 pairs of gloves and a small bit of Prepsol to get rid of it all. It was actually quite easy to get rid of. Now the problem with this is the frame. We've gone in there, and that's the second skin that's gone there too. That's a reinforcement thing that goes up to where the hinge is and down onto the bottom. Now, we have a bit of activity there. I don't know how bad that is, but it does look great. And of course we're shot in this area here, and of course there as well. Now, I don't think this is going to be easy to remove. And the easy way, or the easiest way of doing it, is to actually cut bits out of our good frame and weld them in. But when we start getting to here, it might actually be easier to cut that whole corner. I don't know, because it's going to be affected underneath there, and certainly in this area here as well. It's going to be rusted in there as well. Aside from that, the door's in pretty good nick, but I don't really know where to go with it. I've got to think about it and make my mind up. But that's the door anyway. This skin is so bloody good. It is a minter. It is cleaned up beautifully. I'm going to turn it around. There's a rust hole. Actually, hang on, I'll flick it back around this way. Whoa. There's a rust hole here. Can we see it in the frame? Yeah, I think so. Hang on a second. Yeah, that's probably better there. There's a rust hole there. That is a doddle to fix. That is so easy, it's ridiculous. There was a stain there. I thought it was rust, but it wasn't. There is rust behind here, but the problem is the frame is absolutely knackered. And I've got this. Oopsie, hang on, come back. I wasted a whole lot of time cleaning that, but you know what? I just want to burn and shit with this thing. It's crap. What I'm thinking about doing is making a tool similar to a flat blade screwdriver, but the end is on a sort of a right hand angle, if you know what I mean. Kind of like this, but with the end 90 degrees and sharpening the edge of it. And what I was thinking of doing is getting it started at the one end and just tapping it along just to stretch up this lip. Now, that's on a complex curve. I reckon I'll just lift this a tiny bit, just a little bit to release pressure from it. You can see it's actually quite hard to, or quite easy to lift, but running along there, just lift that a little bit. It's got a couple of spot welds here. There's one there, there's one there I think, one there. Drill them out, bang, 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 lift that up, lift this up, and take the skin off. I just don't want to use this frame. I've got this car with a really, really good body. I've got a mint bonnet. You know, the boot lid's got one little bit of rust, I can fix that. But this door is so isn't funny. So, it's in the structure and the skin. Now, it is replaceable, but I'm just scared of buckling this panel. It's even rusted up there. And where the rear quarter window goes, see that either. Can we see up here? There you go, guys. In here, that ledge is all gone. That's where the quarter window seal sits. And it's got little bits of rust everywhere in it. The skin's the only good bit. So it's got a tack weld there. It's got a tack weld here. I can cut those out. But I don't know. That's all part of the skin too. I'm just thinking, on the other door, I can just run an angle grinder off here, like off that edge. That lip will come off and I can just release the old skin that way without damaging the frame. What I can do with this is, when I start tapping, if it looks like it's going to go bad, just hammer and dolly it down, abandon ship, and just start cutting this stuff out. But I really don't want to use it. You know what I mean? I've got a car that's going to be brand new. Like, every bit of it is going to be like brand new. And you know, I don't mind a patch in a door, you know, provided it's done well. And I think we've done ours really well. But this is just, you know what, I would do that, but it's gone up here too, and it's gone up the top. I don't think it's worth using. So leave comments if you've done this sort of thing before. I haven't done it. I reckon I can do it. But, you know, door skins, the one thing you don't want to do is buckle it and create more work, or, you know, do it a disservice by ruining it, because that is an absolutely peachy skin. The less you cut out, the better. And that's too thin to weld to. I wouldn't even try it. I'd be inclined actually to mount the door, then do the trim once it's on the door, or then do that once it's on the door. There's rust showing through here too, and that's where that rust is behind it. So that would need to be watered up as well. So, I don't know. I'm just going to blow etch over it for now. I don't care. And I'll put it to the side and finish the bonnet and a few other bits and pieces as well. I wanted to have the bonnet done today, but I'm just going to watch the Plymouth. You can see here, I've got to take all the paint off. And the problem is this. Can't use a paint stripper in there because it'll hide all those nooks and crannies when I get it out. And those paint stripper discs, that will just smudge it and turn it into chewy. So it's all down to just scraping it off, which is horrendous. And that took a couple of hours just to do that bit there. Having said that, the top's ready for high fill, and after that it can be painted. This door, as I said, I'm going to take the skin off the other one to see what it's like to take off. I don't want to use that frame, but if I have to I will. And I've just got it in etch at the moment, and it's super duper straight. So that's it, guys, that's all I got. A bit of fuel tank stuff and some doors and a bonnet. And it's not even finished. But you know what, I wanted to sort of show, I've shown it because when you restore a car, it's not all fun. Some of it's just a drag. And it's not like one of those television shows where the car's a bomb in 1 week and the next week it's all finished and everyone's happy. It's not like that at all. This is a very long-winded gig. I got invited to Milsom's Auto Paint the day before yesterday, and they had an airbrush artist demonstration. He painted a surfboard. He airbrushed a skull and flames and that sort of thing on a surfboard, and his work was just phenomenal. And I guess the benchmark for flames would be Mike LaValle with his True Fire, but I reckon this guy did it better, and he did it with a pizza box. So, you know what? I'll put together a video with that. The resolution's not very good because I didn't have this camera. I had my phone, and I was sitting quite a ways back, and the light wasn't great. But I will put it together and I'll publish it. I asked him first, I got his permission. For those interested, that's a really, really good thing. And of course he offers courses as well. The courses aren't cheap, but they actually are very cheap when you look at the skills you get from them. And also the amount of hours involved with the training, because it's a full set of training. It's not just like, this is how you do this. It's actually a full, like, TAFE course, if you know what I mean. You can do it nights and that sort of thing. So, well worth going to that. Caught up with an old friend, Shane. It's wonderful to see you, Shane. He, like me, is a bloke in his garage and he's got some toys. I'm not going to tell you what they are, because I haven't asked him if it's kosher to mention it on this sort of thing. But it was really, really good to catch up with him too. So, that was wonderful. So until the next time, hope you've enjoyed this. Sorry about the content, but that's what I've been doing. It's taken hours and hours to do. It's such that I also have to do the stairs at the front and some pickets, and it's horrendous, and I don't want to do it, but I have to. Given that my wife can't walk at the moment very well because her knee's given out, and my mother, well, she can't walk anyway because she's really old, and there's not even a hand railing to hang on to, so I've got to sort of carry them up there, if you know what I mean. So anyway, look, hope you've enjoyed it. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your classic. I'll see you around.